Well, here we are again. Based on everybody's performance, it kind of feels like this week didn't really happen. I dropped like half a percentage point. The two of you barely moved at all. But lucky for us, there's plenty of other things to talk about since our own portfolios appear to be cryogenically frozen in time. And we're going to actually get right into it because I had our whole show planned, and then I was watching the football game and scrolling through my Google News Digest and came across a follow-up story on the Buy the Constitution token. And that has turned into a giant mess. So we're going to talk about that first because I think it's funny. So, let me get you up to speed. These guys at Constitution DAO basically released a token on the Ethereum chain in an effort to buy a copy of the Constitution at a private auction from Sotheby's. I think it was Sotheby's. They raised like $40 million in the sales of this token. And they repeatedly told people, like, the only thing you get from this token is you get to vote on where we put the Constitution if we win. Like, this, you are not actually owning a piece of the Constitution. Which, of course, people aren't going to read the fine print. I'm sure a lot of people had no idea that that was actually what they were getting. And so we get what has happened now. Step one, they lose the auction to a private investor. So now you have $40 million worth of tokens and no copy of the Constitution. Now, you're trying to refund a bunch of people who are like, yo, this is dumb, I want my money back. And the processing fees to issue the refunds are essentially eating up a lot of the like investments that people have made, because the investments aren't that much, right? If you buy a token for like $10 or something and the processing fee is $9, okay, I get $1 back. Like, that sucks. So now you have a bunch of people with that. Then you have people trying to flip their shares of this token on the secondary market, which obviously they're not worth anything because you don't have a copy to begin with. And so now they're trying to pawn them off on other people. Which leads us to where we are now. Complete and total chaos. Nobody has any idea what is happening. They're trying to do some damage control on Discord. But the chat pictures that I'm reading are not good. And so basically now people are accusing them of being a $40 million scam.
Nice. Love those.
So, we've talked about crypto and potential impending regulation a lot in weeks prior. Is this a high-profile example of people just being really stupid and getting caught up in an investing trend? Or is there a legitimate opportunity to look at this and say, hey, we should probably put some type of regulation in place when and if we do actually regulate crypto to make sure that nonsense like this is not a thing? Because, like, I'm going to be honest with you, the whole thing from the beginning, to me, sounds dumb and unappealing.
Well, it says that they made another coin. So I'm going to go with the first one.
Okay, so you think this is just people not reading stuff and being stupid?
Oh, well,
I think there could legitimately be an argument for that. Don't get me wrong. I think there's equal blame here.
Nah, I mean, like, I don't think that question is good because, like, the second one is because of the first one. Like, yes, we need regulation because people are stupid. Like, that's not a... I feel like that's not a either-or question. But reading about this, yeah, people were definitely stupid. I mean, like, I don't think they were... Like, I don't know. Are you asking me, does this sound like some sort of, like, big brain, like, evil, like, mass...
Well, so I'm looking at this as a couple of different things.
Mass duping of people? No. Are these guys scam artists? Probably, but I don't think they're, like, that smart. The fact that they're just making another coin to pay people back kind of sounds like the people they were duping were just really dumb. And yeah, that's why you need regulation.
Well, so to me, it sounds like there's a couple of things here, and I'm interested to see what follow-up ends up taking place for a couple of reasons. The first is that when Wall Street Bets initially, blew up, for lack of a better word, last year, a bunch of those people ended up in front of Congress at a hearing. And a bunch of them testified for multiple hours about how this was not any type of, coordinated manipulation of the market. And so I have a hard time believing that something that is now this high profile, that has gone this catastrophically wrong, does not end up in another congressional hearing. But to the point you've just made, I think this is where we repeatedly run into stumbling blocks when we have conversations about how do you regulate something like this, because you can only regulate so much for stupidity, right? If a business is acting legitimately dishonestly and in bad faith, yes, we ought to figure out a way to limit opportunities to do that as much as possible. But you can only do so much before the consumer is like, hey, don't take away my freedom. I have the right to be, I have the right to take risks. Or in this case, maybe you have a right to be stupid. I don't know. It seems to me like it's a fine line to walk, but enough of these things have happened that I feel like somebody's going to have to take a stab at it,
I feel like, well, I mean, how upfront was this like fine print? Was it like a wall of fine print and then it's like buried somewhere in the middle, or was it like?
I can't find exactly how it was displayed.
It seems like it's kind of misleading because their slogan or their motto was "We're all gonna buy it," which implies like I'm going to own part of it, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like that's kind of one of the I don't know, not barriers. I don't know what to say. Like the qualifiers. Like if it was like truly worded to be a scam, like we're gonna hide it as much as possible. I don't know. I mean, that's a fine line to tread to. That how do you define where are you hiding it now, or like transparency? I guess like how do you have more laws on transparency? I guess. I feel like
apparently some of it was housed in the FAQ section.
Oh.
Apparently they didn't even bid all of it. They only bid 41 million of the 47 million that they raised.
Okay, so that to me is a small red flag.
So
41 million bought it. Gavelled at 41 million. So it's sold for less than what they had.
Okay, yeah, that to me is now extremely suspicious.
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue that maybe it was obvious that they were going to lose, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much this guy was willing to spend.
I guess, I don't know, you have $6 million in operating costs. Like, I don't know. You gotta ask where that $6 million went, I guess.
Somebody bought an island in the Caymans off the record somewhere.
Yeah.
I also have to wonder, though, if this may not have partially been caused by a very unfortunate game of telephone.
Oh, boy.
Well, no, when the media reports things that are interesting, they try to come up with a catchy headline to make people read it. I can't help but wonder if that may have happened here to a certain degree, and some people just got caught up in it.
What do you mean do that?
That's not to excuse blame from anybody. More just to wonder if that was also a part of the equation that people need to be looking at. But anyway, I don't expect us to have answers for any of this. I mainly just brought it up because I thought it was interesting and kind of funny. I know that sounds bad, but I thought it was kind of funny. So that's happening. It sounds like we're going to have some follow-up on that for quite a while, so don't be surprised if we come back to that one in future weeks. Speaking of follow-up, though, we inadvertently partially dug our own grave last week with our praise of Alibaba after Singles Day, because what happened not 2 days after we were like, hey, this looks like a really solid long-term investment? It cratered.
Nice. I guess you can go buy it.
So, there's a reason the disclaimer at the beginning of this video says not investment advice, and it's for reasons like this. Apparently what happened, there's some potential regulation coming in from the SEC about foreign companies and the type of reporting and compliance that they have to essentially allow the government to do in order for them to be listed on the U.S. exchange. So there's some concerns there about whether or not Chinese companies are going to comply with those requests, which could potentially get them delisted on the domestic exchange in the U.S. anyway. Obviously, there's concerns within China as a whole about the government and Jack Ma and all of this extremely large conglomerates of their own. So lots of external things going on that we perhaps missed in our online shopping for go-karts and giant inflatable hamster balls and some other things. Though I do still think if you're going to buy something and sit on it for 20 years, this still is probably a fairly good opportunity. And now you have a dip to buy, potentially. So maybe we just called our shot too early. I don't know. But I did at least want to come back and own that one because that was my bad. On to the, I guess, new material for the week. I want to start with Activision Blizzard because I know that you guys are very into gaming of all kinds. And so you probably know a hell of a lot more about this than I do. Stock creators, very, very large game titles are being delayed. All of the ongoing sexual harassment stuff about the CEO being a terrible person is still going on. I guess, what do we make of all of this? Is this a watershed moment for the gaming industry where they need to take a look at how they pay developers, how they design games, what type of timeline goes into actually launching a product? Because I feel like this year, more than a lot of years, a lot of things have been delayed for one reason or another. It just seems like everything is a mess and nothing is doing well. I mean, am I wrong?
No, nothing's really going well for them. Yeah, they delayed games that didn't even have announced release dates yet.
Yeah.
Not sure how you do that. Like,
Oops.
you're just upfront saying, like, whenever you think it is, just mentally move that back.
Give it like another year.
So that was kind of interesting. Yeah, the CEO still works there. Despite
So
the
how
fact
does this
that-
man still have a job?
So, like, it's weird. Like, not only is he, like, apparently a terrible person, according to everything that's come out, like, he has also said that he was aware that people in his company were also terrible. And, like, he's, like,
Okay.
like, he commented something, like, that he will he would, like, consider stepping down if he felt like the company couldn't get better. like him not stepping down wouldn't like work to fix a toxic work environment.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like those are that logic is flawed. That logic is deeply flawed.
He's like if it basically he was like, yo, if I have to leave for it to get better, I'll leave. But before that, no. Like that was like what he said basically. It was like, okay.
Nice.
So yeah, they're kind of, I don't know, like watershed moment though. I'm not sure. Activision,
I mean, correct
makes
me
a
if
lot
I'm
of
wrong,
money
but like
outside of go ahead.
Activision Blizzard, like as a whole, there are a handful of companies that are as big or probably bigger. But I mean, in terms of like title recognition, they have to be up there as one of the ones that people are the most familiar with.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the public kind of is already like not okay with, but like is already comfortable with the idea that the gaming community is kind of shitty. Like,
okay,
like I think that's like generally like do you guys remember like Gamergate or whatever? Like,
yeah.
There was like like after like a lot of people said stuff, like a lot of people, the general reaction of the public was like disappointed but not surprised, like so.
It seems to be a trend with a lot of news lately. Disappointed but not surprised.
Well, yeah, I think I guess it's just very easy to see like all of the shitty things that everyone does now. So,
So then let me ask you this as a follow-up to some of that. Why? Maybe that's not the right way to phrase this question. What do you think it would take for this to actually change then?
The company not making money.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, the stock tanked like all week. They're not making
Well, I
money. I
mean,
guess is relative, but like you're definitely leaving a shitload of money on the table by continuing to run a terrible business with somebody in charge who is clearly a terrible person.
I guess like it has to keep doing that long enough for the board to say like, okay, we're gonna just get rid of this dude. Like,
Yeah.
like I don't know. Like clearly, right now they're like, we'll probably make it back. Seems to be the general thought from them.
Like I feel like for the past couple years now, they've kind of had like a decline in terms of like publicity,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think it's really affected the bottom line all that much.
Yeah.
Like they could probably attribute some of it to like, oh, it's COVID, you know, like some of it booms because of COVID, people staying home, but some of also like people can't afford to play the game, so it's like, oh, I don't know.
I would imagine
Um,
development timeline is part of a problem there too, right? With
Yeah.
labor shortages
Yeah.
and all that other stuff.
yeah, and so like, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think they have a lot of things, like a lot of product lines that they can kind of like survive off of.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I mean, if those were all to die off and be like, hey, you guys aren't making any money, and like if the gamer community were to publicly protest it, I think that would affect like widely protest it. I think that would affect it. But honestly, I feel like yeah, people have not okayed it, but like kind of just ignored it maybe, and they're just like, I just want to play the game, which is bad. But yeah, I think people are not. I feel like they're not feeling the effects of people's like actual, feelings.
Yeah.
Okay. So
feel
there's
like-
knowledge of it, but the community as a whole is apathetic about doing anything per se.
Yeah, I mean, Blizzard has had other bad major news for them in the last couple of years. That's like not related to even like, like sexual assault or anything. Just like things you would think a gamer would care about, and they have just shrugged that off too.
Well,
I
and
think
so
they've kind of proven
I do
that-
want to bring up that EA is also blasted in this article for releasing a bunch of games that are not finished.
Which is everyone does
Yeah.
that now. That's just kind of that's what I'm saying. Like,
How is
you
that a
say-
thing, though? Like, you intentionally release something so unfinished that it's blatantly obvious and people just tolerate
it's a
that?
combination of a lot of things. Like right, like you gotta promise features to make your game hyped.
Mm-hmm.
You have pressure to meet your deadlines because the community has now hyped your game
Mm-hmm.
like unsustainably, and and marketing is like 70% of the budget. So devs have to work around the clock to fix things. You cut QA, you cut test time. Like
Okay.
it makes a lot of money,
Yeah, actually,
but it does not make good. I think at this point, video game companies or publishers, like the big publishers, the one who own all the other developers,
Mm-hmm.
they've realized that they need to make products and not necessarily video games. Before I think all the game companies made video games. Now I think the gaming companies realize we can make a lot of money making products that happen to be video games.
So essentially
idea
what
that
you're
you
saying
have
is there's
product.
less of a focus on the complete delivered package of this is the game,
Yeah, I mean,
and more here's where the game is going to start, but here's all this other shit that you could spend extra money on in the middle, and that will distract you from the fact that the rest of this game is garbage or not done.
yeah, I mean, like in forums where people talk about this kind of stuff, like devs who work in the industry or who have left the industry say like things like beta releases used to be like you did not want bugs in your beta release
Yep.
because it was
No.
going to be very close to your final release.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, like now it's like the beta is like it's full of bugs and stuff and it's released to the public and they're basically testing it for you because you
Yeah.
kind of need that honestly like with how your funding is working like it's and so like but once you release beta people expect a game soon and like and then devs talk about like nowadays you have multiple builds for your game where like you're building versions that will never be that are very different from the final version just
Why?
because you need to demo things or show things
Oh.
off and stuff. So you're spending time making extra copies of the game to make certain things workable at certain periods.
yeah.
And then the final product ends up looking very different or like things change, and then so you're like your demo thing had something in it and it's missing entirely from the final product because it got cut, and then people are asking like, I like that thing, like where did it go? So it's
So then let me ask a potentially stupid but fairly obvious question. If it is true that marketing is the majority of the budget, and that would not surprise me at all, is it possible to make a high revenue grossing game by actually spending more of the money on developing something good and marketing it less and relying on the fact that the product is actually good to carry it where it needs to go?
sure. I mean, like some games that
Because
have
that used to be
released
how it worked.
there are
It
games that
happens.
released with too much hype and were very disappointing at launch, and then
Yeah.
eventually, with time, the developers released enough content and fixed enough things where people were satisfied with what they got. I think like Battlefront 2, Star Wars, the new one, that
Okay.
is the newest one, I guess. That was like an example. Everyone universally panned it on launch and like was mad, and I think at this point people agree that it's a pretty good game. So I mean, like, I took too long for that to be sustainable in a product cycle, but you could argue that if the devs had just been focused on making the game that they delivered from the start, could have taken less time than what they tried to release or whatever.
Yeah, I
So
think
it's
it's
possible but not likely, is what you're telling me.
yeah. I feel like it's kind of a balance too, because like if you do the Battlefront way, then like they hyped it too much in the beginning, and then it fell off, and then only the diehards kind of stuck with it. And then if you do it the opposite way, where you like spend all the money in the development, and then all of a sudden like you have a product, and you're like, hey, we're gonna market it a little bit, then you don't have the widespread knowledge of it, and then
Yeah.
your fan base is smaller, so that the life cycle of the game also dies off. So yeah, I mean, you probably have to find the fine line with it, and also
Well, it
like
seems like they're not even close to the fine line right now, though, which is why I asked the
yeah,
question.
yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot of companies now are like, why spend the money on testing when we could just like do some rough testing and then release it to like millions of people, and then they'll test it for us, and then whatever bugs come up, like, oh, it's a beta, we'll fix it.
So they've essentially outsourced the testing of the game, and people are cool with that for some reason.
Yeah, and like some people pay money for beta tests or to like to
Yeah, like
get
a
the
lot
game
of people.
early.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
mean,
people pay to access that
people
stuff. So
always
Yeah,
want to be
so
first.
it's
The
just
psychology
profit.
behind that is sound.
Yeah, like all of it's just profit. Like, oh, we don't have to test it that hard, so save money there. Then people are paying money to get the early access game. So like, and they're like, some people are paying like for some early access games only come out in like certain bundles.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh, I got to pay $100 instead of the $60. So it's like, I don't know. It's just, yeah. I feel like they're trying. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's also because games have been locked at that $60 price point for so long that maybe the publishers and whatever are like, oh, we're gonna try to like artificially raise the price,
So
or
then,
like
do you think games, if games get more expensive, does that solve some of the problems, or are they just pocketing that as extra profit?
I think they'll just be like, hey, this is the price of.
yeah, I think the way that people view the companies, they'll probably assume that it's just getting pocketed.
Yeah, I feel like another thing is that I don't know, before like when the gaming industry was like fresh and new, like Steam, stuff like Valve,
No.
or yeah, not Steam, but Valve, they were like passionate developers generally. Like games
Yeah.
were small, or
Everybody starts out caring about something. The question is
Yeah.
how many of them survive long enough.
yeah. And then I feel like with how much like computer science has grown as an industry, and gaming as well as that, it's been more. Maybe it's more people who are less passionate about actually doing the work, and it's more just like I want the money related to it. I feel like the passion has gone out from the product, and it's more like, okay, just get the thing out of here.
Oh yeah, that's what I agree. Like,
Yeah, and
so
I mean, I
say-
think it goes back to the point you both made earlier. Like, the game quality problems cannot be solved until the labor market problems are addressed first. And until they're willing, it sounds like, at least from what you're telling me, until they're willing to address those things, there's zero probability of any of these quality control related issues getting any better.
yeah, I mean, it's proven that it's profitable even if you release this. So why?
Yeah.
Why not? It's faster, cheaper.
But the user experience is garbage. How have we reached a point where garbage user experience of something that costs $60 is okay?
But that's the amazing thing about the system. Like, you know, the people playing the games are not happy with it. The developers aren't necessarily happy releasing something with their name attached to it.
I'm sure they're not.
It's not what they want. Also, they're not necessarily happy with their working conditions in the company and being forced to meet certain deadlines and stuff. You know, shit happens. So you know that the only people who are happy are the people making money, but they're making a lot of money, so they don't really have an incentive to stop. And you know, and it's not their fault. Like, as customers, people keep buying it. To Kyle's point, people keep paying extra money to get their favorite game first, even if the last one was terrible. Like, quite honestly.
They just want the new game to play, the new thing to
like
play.
It's like it doesn't matter if the previous game was good, then you buy it early because you're like, it was good. It's gonna be good. If it was terrible, then you buy it early because you're like, I need to know. Like, is it good? Like, please tell me it's better. Like, I hear that logic. I don't really like pre-buy a lot of games, but like my friends that do, I hear both sides of those logic from all of them. So it's clearly like
something.
I'm the type of person, I just buy Xbox Game Pass and play everything that's like a year old, and that's just how I do it.
Free or whatever.
Yeah, if it's free on there, perfect. I'll play those. It's fine.
Yeah, you pay is it like $20 a month?
I think it's like $16 or something like that.
Yeah, not bad.
I mean, it's a lifesaver on paternity leave. Like,
nice.
I would go crazy just getting stuck in my house. But that's just, it baffles me because the gaming company has created a massive problem, but they're not being penalized for it by the user base enough for them to want to fix anything, and so the customer continues to get something that is dramatically inferior to what they should be getting, and that is fine.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just like, you know, the loud, you know, the loud dissenting group breaks through, but like, and maybe most people don't care. I don't know.
How would you not care though? If I spent $60 on something that was supposed to have been like in development for years at a time, and I got something that was obviously flawed, I would not be happy.
Well, I mean, you gotta think about, remember, the video games aren't just targeting like us anymore. We're on the older end of video games. Like,
I'm aware of that, but like, come on, Gen Z, what are you doing?
Some of these people are like 12 buying this stuff. Maybe they don't care.
Come
like,
on, Gen Z, help us out.
I don't know. Like, I think they do care, but you know, like, or maybe they don't know to care or know to complain. I mean, oh, well, okay, they've been doing this for a while. Maybe for all they know, maybe they're just like, yeah, it's just okay. Like, everyone's done this since I've been interested in video games. Like, that's just the norm.
Yikes. Okay, well, bringing this back around to the fact that this is an investing competition with fake money, I will ask one more question and then we will move on. Given the fact that all of these companies have been very recently been absolutely pummeled by the market, are you buying the dip on any of them? Are you buying a Roblox? Are you buying an EA? I don't think any of us are probably buying Activision Blizzard based on the shit that's going on over there, but like, would you buy anything else?
Roblox sounds kind of memey. EA is supposed to be shitty, so I mean, like, from an ESG standpoint, just investigate EA and Blizzard or Activision. It's just not.
No, so you're not touching any of them. Okay.
So, like, I mean,
I mean, I would agree. Based on what I read this week preparing for this, I was like,
particularly Activision, because not only you are right, it's extending beyond just them getting bad publicity. They're legitimately like their work is being impacted with all this attention. They're delaying games that need to come out. And, you know, as much as we shit talk the games that come out, those games would have made them money had they come out. So,
yes. I have other questions about how many first-person shooter games we really need, but that's a question for another day, because we've discussed the gaming industry and its many faults enough. But we're going to move on to something else that I think has some serious problems, and I want your feedback on it, because I think that there's a legitimate argument to be made on both sides of that, and that is streaming platforms. How many is too many streaming platforms? So, news comes out that Comcast, which owns like a third of Hulu, is thinking about and has a contractual opportunity written into their ownership agreement that they can pull all of the content that they own from Hulu and move it to Peacock because they own all of Peacock and only own a third of Hulu. So, we all agree that cable is overpriced and nobody should use it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's being a little bit generous and generic, but the general idea is that cable as a product is not competitive with what people are currently looking for. But I would also argue that if you have to get Netflix and Hulu and Paramount Plus and Amazon Prime Video and all of this other shit, like, that's as much, if not more, than you're already paying for cable. So we have not created a solution to the problem of cable. We have just changed what the problem looks like and recreated the same damn dilemma.
I would say that's pretty accurate. I feel like a lot of the internet has felt this way for a while. You know, we have gone from channel packages to picture streaming provider. And they try to get sneaky about it by doing things like, oh, we'll partner with different companies to offer you like free X amount of time, or like, you know, highly reduced rate for 2 years or whatever. But you know, the idea is you forget, and you say you're just paying. You went from paying a company who paid for my channel to just paying me monthly. Like, you're still paying monthly.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe piracy will just come back. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the next response is, to be honest.
Honestly, I was having a conversation with a friend about this, and this was several years ago, and it seemed so obvious at the time. What is stopping... at this point, I don't know if it's a cable company, because I don't know if they own enough rights to the actual content. But like, if you own a massive-ass content library, what is stopping you from saying, I will a la carte you cable channels for like $20 or $10 or whatever. Like, if you only want to watch 6 channels, I will sell you those 6 channels every month for $10.
You mean do
and
it
we'll be
what
done.
People originally wanted from TV.
Yeah. If all you want is to custom pick the channels that you get and you don't give a damn about the 120 other channels that you're never going to watch anyway, why don't we just say, here's a steep discount, do that?
That was what everyone asked Jordan prior to streaming. That's why streaming happened.
Yes,
so, I mean,
but why was that not a thing? Because it seems so obvious.
To answer your question, I think they already did the research and showed that it's not worth it for them.
But see, I don't buy that. I have a very hard time believing that they actually thought about it enough to say, we don't want to do this, and here's why.
I mean, if you can own all of Peacock and force people to pay $15.99 for Peacock, then it's better.
Okay, but not to sound rude, but like, who in their right mind is going to pay full price for Peacock?
Well, okay, yeah, you get $15.99 is an arbitrary number. You pay $8.99 for your special deal for moving for 24 months, and then you get re-enrolled annually at X dollar, whatever the price is.
Well, the reason that I have a hard time with this is because now you've hit a point where all of these streaming platforms have to develop enough of their own content to justify people subscribing to watch it. And so now it seems to me like everybody has these massive production costs because you have to create, script, film, edit, produce all of these original shows. Like, you can't tell me that all of these platforms and all of these shows, that like the volume of them is not sustainable. There is so much content that you could never possibly watch enough of it.
It could be not worth it for them to just track who's allowed to watch what channel. Like, I mean, they kind of do that already with packages, but you know, that's like many channels altogether. Like,
yeah,
if you think about it, like, okay, we're gonna let everyone buy channels a la carte. You have to store who buys what channel everywhere. Yeah. Every channel now. You can't just be like, they got my premium package, they got my standard package. Now you have to check every channel, and every time they try to go on TV and access you have to confirm their identity and confirm that they can use the channel. You can't just wire up certain houses to certain packages because you know they have them and just be like, all the data that goes through that cable is good.
I know.
You know. Now you have to be like, I have to check the data before it goes through the cable. Like, you know, like, so it's like, it might be more expensive, honestly. Like, there are costs associated. Maybe long term it wouldn't be expensive, but like, they're like, that's a infrastructure change. I gotta hire devs to figure out all that code. Like, maybe long term it's better for me, but do I really want to take the $500 million payout right now? No, I don't.
It just seems to me like this is another scenario where, in the end, the customer loses.
Oh, it is.
Because, like, it's impossible to keep track of what content is on which platform. And if you
This is a
have to
battle.
get, for whatever reason, more than like 2 or 3 of them, you're already paying as much, if not more, than you were for cable, depending on which ones you've picked.
Yeah, so now
I get that
now
like
people-
Prime Video is included with Prime, so if you already have Prime, that's an amenity. They don't give a damn how much you watch it. Like
Yeah.
it's a value add. But like some of these other ones, like, I don't know, man. It's-
Yeah, no, I mean,
this
people
is
just-
another area where like outside of like a Netflix or maybe Disney with the whole Disney Plus bundle, like I would have some serious due diligence concerns before I was going to invest in any of these things, because I think we're at like peak market saturation and we don't know where this is going to go and what's going to still be here when all of this shakes out. But the other side of that, and why I think this is so complicated, so like we'll use Paramount as an example. Like they've always been in it for like the content and the movies to begin with. And so for them, I think the approach to market is different because it's more about how do they leverage the creative assets that they already have and distribute them to as many people as possible. Like, I don't know that Paramount Plus is a winner in the streaming category, per se. But they clearly weren't making enough money licensing all of the Paramount stuff to everybody else that they thought they had to give it a try. And so I think, for me, the interesting thing is who owns the content and how does it get distributed when all of this is said and done. Because I think part of it is you look at, well, do people go to the theaters and watch movies anymore? And, like, maybe you're one of those people who likes that stuff and maybe you're not. I don't know. But I think that part of why this is so complicated is they're attempting to figure out the future of media consumption. It's like, Kyle, when was the last time that you went to a theater?
Actually, kind of recently. I went to
Yeah,
go see
not
it.
that long ago.
Oh, both of you. Okay, wow.
Yeah. Well, we went to go see it together.
Set
So
myself
that
up
was
with
kind of a
another bad question.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But before that, a long
Yeah. Prior to that, a long time ago. Probably
Okay,
like
so
over a
it's
year
gone
ago.
from something that was more part of the American entertainment routine to, if there's a special occasion that I really want to go do this, I will go do it. Otherwise, I'm going to stay home and stream something.
I didn't go to see a ton of movies in theaters already. I like movies, but
Yeah.
I already was kind of like a home movie person to begin with. So
Okay.
I will be honest, it's like I do think like recently I'm definitely going less. Like COVID, obviously I wasn't even going.
Yeah, I mean,
at all
I
for a
honestly
while.
could not tell you the last time I went into a movie theater. I do not remember. It has been that
But
long.
like, yeah, it's like if I had bought Movie Pass, they would have made money off me. I'll put it that way. Like that, I was who they were hoping I would buy it. Like the person who occasionally remembers, like, oh yeah, there's a movie I kind of want to see right now. And
Yep.
I'll go in to go see it. I guess. Not the person who goes in every week and then like stays to watch 3 movies somehow. But, yeah.
I don't know. It just, I have a hard time with like. It seems to me that it's illogical that an end experience where the customer loses can make so much money for so many different people,
Well, it
and yet
makes
here we
sense.
are again.
It makes sense if you consider the fact that the alternative to the customer feeling like they lost is the customer feeling like they didn't get to play at all. And
That is true.
for a lot of people, I guess the slight loss feels better than not playing at all.
The power, the decision-making power to choose the streaming platforms that you have, instead of having to dread the once-a-year hostage negotiation with the Comcast customer service representative because they're trying to raise your rates, is enough that people, the mental calculus for them works out.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's more an indictment on streaming or more of an indictment on Comcast. Like,
Probably both. And like I said, though, I think the honest alternative right now is you got to go back to like pirating or something. So everyone loses money again, and so
well, then you have to watch those really annoying
reinvents.
commercials where they're like, "Pirating is illegal. Don't do it." And like,
Nice.
Yeah. Would you download a car? Yes.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, like 3D model. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
download that shit instantly. It's like asking me if I would save an NFT. But yes, I'll save
Of
a
course.
JPEG. Sure, it's not the real thing. Whatever. I can look at it.
Oh my. Just baffling stuff going on. But we'll move on because as much as people watch these to hear me rant about stuff, I feel like they do actually look for information.
So, were you saying, like, were you asking us if like there's a good investment there? Or, like, I guess how did that relate to this?
Essentially it was the same question as the gaming one. Like, not that there's a massive dip going on with any of these, but as we look at the future of content consumption, is there enough of a market, or is the business model or the content library or whatever, is the total offering of any of these things strong enough that you would be interested in investing? If I gave you 100,000 hypothetical dollars, would you put all of it on any one of them?
I guess maybe. I think you're right in that you got to pick someone who's got like the biggest. I think having your own content, you need a system to deliver, but I think as long as you have one in place, it could be kind of shitty. As long as you have your own content library. If I had to explain it, it'd be like content is like your missiles, and then like the streaming platform is your ability to shoot missiles. So like
so it matters more.
If you have a great
blow
missile launching
up.
system, but they don't explode, no one is threatened by you.
Yeah.
No matter how great your missile. If you have a launching system that can only shoot them a short while, but you have a ton of really powerful missiles, people are afraid of you.
Yes, they are.
So yeah, I would say Netflix tries to produce as much or buy all of its content as much as possible now. They don't like borrowing other people's stuff.
No.
Unless it's like Friends or something, so they pay like billions for it or whatever.
Well, I hear rumor that they're looking at expanding into games too, which I think could be interesting.
Sure.
I don't think that that's necessarily going to be very successful because many have tried and all have failed. But
I feel like a lot of tech companies feel like they should just try other tech things because they're tech companies. I'm not gonna lie.
No, you're not wrong.
And I get that it's because you feel like you have developers and innovative people, so like you have a good base to start with.
I think we can all look at Google Stadia or the Amazon game library that like never produced a game for like 6 years or something.
Yeah, there's just
it just doesn't translate.
Sometimes no. I mean, sometimes tech branching out works very well. Like Tesla, like Elon Musk took Tesla, then he was like, it's a tech company. I'm going to branch out into space. It's working pretty well for him so far. But sometimes, a little more questionable.
Well, so I'm actually glad that you bring that up because that is the perfect unscripted segue into the next topic of the night. And that is another tech company branching out once again. Apple reportedly has revived the autonomous electric vehicle project.
Ooh.
So,
Apple Car.
It has windows on it.
Early estimates are that the vehicle will not be available until 2025. And yet, Apple stock rallied 1.5% in afternoon trading on Friday. So, clearly people already care about this, despite the fact that they have no idea what it looks like, no idea what it's capable of, no idea how much it's going to cost. Like, I am an iPhone person, and I have a Mac because I need it for work. So, like, I'm making fun of myself to a degree when I say this. Like, this is the most stereotypical Apple customer thing ever. You're not going to be first to the market. You're going to find a way to convince the customer that you've done it better, and then you're going to charge people more money for it, and they're still going to eat that shit up. Like, is this a repeat of the iPhone just with the car? Or is this a play at, we care less about the car. The car, no pun intended, is a vehicle to try to monopolize autonomous driving and all of the technology systems and components that we already make that would be needed for that. And the car is just an ancillary piece.
I mean, I wouldn't say, is it just another iPhone? Because, like, the original iPhone was extremely innovative.
Well, I know, that's what I'm saying. They weren't the first person with a smartphone. They took their time, they did it their way, and then they absolutely beat the piss out of everybody with it.
Yeah, I would argue that I don't need, like, I know that there were other smartphones around, but I would say that the iPhone changed what the definition of the expectation
I would agree.
Of the smart. It was big enough where I would say, like, they legitimately did, like, make their own thing. Like without saying like, oh, smartphones existed, you just like I would improve on the technology. I feel like is cutting the like not enough credit. Like it was a legitimately different experience from holding a BlackBerry or like a clunky original version 1 Droid or whatever. Like, it was a very different experience. Like I was legitimately jealous of people who got the first
we
iPhone.
all were.
Like, what the fuck? That was so cool.
What
is that piece of glass in your hand? That fucking. It's like a computer, but
$500.
Yeah. Also, dang, dude, you must be living nice.
Yeah. I mean, does that fit with Apple's current like business strategy or model though? Because I feel like the innovative days of Apple has kind of.
I would agree that now they are definitely more like what you're saying. Like the newest features tend to be things that they have seen somewhere else.
They're incremental improvements. They're not land-breaking innovation. And so I think, Kyle, to answer your question, I think that this, for them, might be an effort or an attempt to recapture some of that, right? Like, when was the last time... Like, okay, taking autonomous driving and the Tesla autopilot stuff off of the table, right? When was the last time we saw something so remarkable in an everyday consumer car that we were like, holy shit, that's amazing?
That's true.
It's been a long time. Like, the car as we know it, if you're buying something that costs less than 40 grand, has been for the most part unchanged. Maybe you get a backup camera or some heated seats or whatever, but like, that's not groundbreaking.
Year to year, it's, it's supposed to, basically year to year, the expectations you get are the fuel mileage you get better.
Yep.
Maybe they start offering a hybrid or electric version if they hadn't before. It looks maybe a little bit cooler or whatever.
Yeah, maybe there's a leather trim package now.
And to your point, it gets marginally more luxurious.
Yeah.
Some minor features are added, heated all the seats, not just front seats, rear heated seats too, bro.
Ooh.
I can't wait till we get screen. I want TV cars to come back.
Nice.
I don't know what era that died out. I guess when TVs at home got so big that people did no longer wanted to ever be reminded of how small a screen could be.
Yeah.
But I want them to come back.
the little screens in the headrests.
Yeah.
We used to always like it when we were driving at night and you could see like the car in front of you had like the backseat DVD player, and we would try to watch the movie from our own car.
God, yeah. Man. You're looking at like a 10x8 screen. It's like through someone else's rear view window. Okay.
People are watching this now know exactly how old we are because that was a very precise era. But no, I think Kyle, to your point, I think
the car market has stagnated outside of two very specific things.
Yep.
Becoming becoming all electric and performing, and driving by yourself. So I will agree, but okay, if that's the whole point, we want to reestablish ourselves as innovative, then so the self-driving car was one of the things that we just said was already like done. So I guess like it either has to be like the iPhone and be so much better than Tesla's self-driving car that it's like, wow, I can't even believe we called Tesla's thing. Like we have to actually start refer to Tesla's car as self-guiding. Like that's that's how big the change has to be. We have to be like, this Apple car is self-driving.
Yeah.
Tesla's is truly self-guiding because I have to be kind of awake or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that would need to be the level. Or something else has to be the feature. But given that they specifically said it's a self-driving car, I feel like that's the feature.
Well, I think to go back to Kyle's other question of like, does this fit the business model? I think it does, and I think that the reason that because this is not the first time that they've said they were going to try this. They've opened and closed this file, at least 2 or 3 times, it seems like, by now. But I think that part of the reason that they're looking at this again is that they're seeing a lot of these small upstart companies get ridiculous valuations in the public and private market by trying these kinds of things. But you're looking at them, like, the smartphone market has matured. The computer, the personal computer market has matured and in some cases is declining. And so they're looking at where can we bring in another revenue stream that can really, guide us into the future and continue to make us one of the most successful and well-known companies on planet Earth. Like, I think that's what they're looking for.
Like something to level us up.
Yeah. They're looking for the next level. Exactly.
I'm curious what end they would want to like innovate on. Like batteries is probably a huge thing that they're like involved with. Cameras for the self-driving, like
I feel like it has to be the self-driving stuff.
yeah, because I mean I feel
Batteries
like
to a degree you're probably right, but I think those two things are really the areas where there's a lot of current competition, but also a lot of room for opportunity.
yeah, because like I mean I think that's the biggest end that anyone can ever like innovate or like improve on because like I mean that's all software basically. So like
Yeah.
I mean you can develop that like developing batteries and hardware. That's chemistry and like other shit that
Yeah.
it's like I mean that's like a stubborn horse. You can't move that thing.
Yeah. I guess they also have advantage that they make their own chips now, so they can develop driving software for their chips.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean it's the walled
optimized.
garden thing taken to an
Yeah.
extreme because now it also exists in your car.
Yeah.
I just okay, like where are they gonna source all their data? So Tesla has all of this road data,
That's a big thing.
like just because of they've existed. For
You
a while,
don't think
people
they're
have been
going to
using this stuff.
backdoor it into one of the iOS updates?
Well,
as
so
one
is
of the
that what
terms
they're
and
going to do?
conditions?
Well, I mean,
Come
that is
on.
certainly,
Do
that
you
is
know
certainly
them
a
at all?
possibility. That is certain a possibility, but given that it's
Oh.
certain a possibility, is that a danger for that? There's possibility for blowback if that becomes public. Like,
Well, don't they have Apple Maps too?
they have
They do.
Apple Maps? But does
So-
that? But like,
Yeah, I don't know if they source the data from like another provider or
Yeah,
They
I
have
mean,
their
I'm
own
sorry,
vehicles
Apple Maps
collecting.
is objectively
It's
not as
terrible.
good. So
no, yeah, Apple Maps is terrible. But they like if they have the vehicle, you know how like Google Maps has the cars driving around collecting data.
Yep.
Maybe that could be a potential. It's probably not as much, obviously, as much as Tesla, but it could be a source of data for them to like learn on and train on, and then maybe all the photos of roads and shit that people are taking with iPhones. I don't know.
yeah, I guess I'm not saying that they won't source it from their existing customers. I guess I'm just curious how.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah that's a big
Like,
thing.
what route are they going to take? And because people are going to ask that question of them too eventually, so I'm kind of curious as what they say.
Yeah.
You know, what I say and what I do are not necessarily the same thing, but
Yep.
it would be interesting to see.
Interesting.
Would you buy an Apple car? Are you Samsung Motors people?
I mean,
Does Samsung have like a car company?
Samsung has so many little like industries. I'm sure they're
I'm
I'm
sure they
sure.
have something.
I'm
probably
sure
on the
they
battery
are.
end.
Let me see.
Like, I hate to
Samsung
be this
car.
guy, but like,
Oh,
it would depend on how much
Renault.
it costs.
Renault Samsung Motors Co. Ltd.
There you go.
It's probably a battery innovation type. Yeah.
I see. So they're like a subsidy of the big
Yeah.
car company. I see. Okay. Yeah, this is their South Korean branch, I guess.
Interesting.
There
I
you
guess
go.
they have a Russian branch, they have a Romanian branch, and then they also they own half of Nissan too. What the fuck?
What?
No, not Samsung.
Renault.
Yeah. They own like 44% of Nissan almost. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Can't do that one. I was like,
Yeah. No, so yeah, they have a bunch of different divisions. Their South Korean one is partnered with Samsung, so you can buy a Samsung car. Doesn't drive itself.
nice.
It's for the people.
Just catches on. No, I'm kidding.
Catches on fire. That would be some bad publicity.
Yeah.
Comes with free Note 7. Was it the 7? I don't remember.
Set or the yeah, I think
There's
it's
been all kinds of interesting like giveaway tchotchke campaigns over the
Yeah.
years. I'm also wondering though, like, because of the way that Apple does product cycles, like, is this the type of thing where you don't really ever own your car? Is this like your iPhone? Do you just pay a fee to use it for 2 years and then you trade it in for a new one?
Well,
Do they recycle all the components? Like, obviously, the logistics of that are a complete and total nightmare.
I
And
know.
we're not going to unpack any of that. But, like, I have to wonder, as cars get so technologically advanced, do we hit a point where it becomes cost prohibitive for people to own them?
I don't know, because like I feel like there's more wear that happens to a car.
Oh, 100%.
Where it's like, I could see you arguing I could reuse some components.
But if the car drives itself all the
modify.
time and you're not able to put your foot all the way down and take it to 120 miles an hour on the freeway.
But I mean, like, just driving it, like, just rocks getting kicked up and like and just
metal fatigue.
things moving, like things don't move inside of a phone. Well, like very slightly, but not really.
Yeah. Point taken.
Like it's there's just like a lot. Like, would you be comfortable buying your 2035 Apple car, knowing that it is relying on parts made for a 2029 Apple car that someone recycled last year?
I mean, I feel like that already happens, though.
Does it? I don't know. Like, how often do you buy a brand new car?
Kyle, I'm not a car person, so step in and correct me if I'm wrong here. I feel like once you've designed like the chassis and the motor and like a lot of the key pieces of a car do not change every year.
It's one thing to design it and keep it the same year to year and reuse it. It's another thing to sell it once, and then buy it back and reuse. Like, it's not
once they buy it back, it's like any used car. It goes through the 99-point factory inspection and all that shit.
No, I mean, if I bought an Apple car used, that is one thing. But if I buy an Apple car new, and you tell me that like half of its parts are from a car from like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I don't know, whatever.
I feel like that already happens.
Renewal cycle that we got.
I feel like that already happens though.
I mean, maybe it does, but I would be not happy. Like, like if Ford told me, like, yes, your Fusion from this year, some dude sold me his 2019 Fusion. We ripped it apart. The engine looked okay. We stuck it in yours. Like, I would be upset, quite frankly. And I mean, it probably does happen, but I would be upset.
And receive.
I'd be like, what do you mean? Like, even if it was like even the seats would be kind of like. So you mean my seats were in someone else's car for like 3 years? Like, I touched that. Like, you did. What kind of person was that? Like,
someone farted in this seat, possibly.
Like, there's more like, I feel like, like when you get a phone, you're okay with the phone because of like, I mean, like, a phone could be equally gross. I'll be quite frank. Like, I have no idea who's touched it, what they did in their personal lives, and like how often they wash their hands or lick their screen or whatever the hell they do. Like. You think about it less than with the car. I feel like if someone blatantly tried to market that as their thing for a car, I feel like people would push back on it.
Yeah. Well, I feel like there's just with a phone, there's just so much like grossness being the bar. Like, there's so much less that you need to clean that like
you could be more confident that what you got.
I cleaned everything, but with the car, it's like there could be like boogers in like the crack of the windshield that's really hard to reach, and I'm never gonna.
See, I feel like both of you are missing something fairly obvious, though. I feel like, and this is me speaking as a marketing person, so this is why my brain works the way that it does. I feel like there's a way that you could absolutely spin that as a sustainable thing to do, and you could totally get people to do that. You could sustain it,
but you would have to say you're buying a used. I mean, people buy used car. Like,
if you told people that less child militant laborers were in a South African mine harvesting the cobalt in your car battery, if you had to get one that somebody else had previously driven, somebody would do that for that reason alone. I guarantee it.
Okay,
I feel like that person probably wouldn't be buying cars from a company that did that ever. If that person cared, if that was the selling point.
There's never previously been an option. That's what I'm saying. If you can crack down on the supply chain enough that you can turn those things into selling points, somebody will buy that car.
Your problem is that I could just buy a used car. That is your problem.
Yes.
The problem is you are trying to sell this to me as a new fucking car.
I'm not trying to sell it to you as a new car. I'm saying that you get a better deal on something that still has life in it. You're just trading it in for a new one.
You are trying to sell this to me as New Year's model recycled from previous years, which is, I would just buy previous years. I'm saving the life of children in Africa or whatever. I have to mine it. it's cheaper for me, and all of the grossness I accept because I bought it used. Like that is the difference,
Yeah,
Jordan.
like,
Like if you tell me that the car I'm buying is from the dealer manufacturer dealership, it is quote unquote fresh off, is brand new, hot off the factory line or whatever. No, it never been used, and then you tell me, yeah, but the engine went through like 100,000 miles, and like the interior, the guy owned it for 2 years, but we reupholstered the leather, so don't worry. Like I'm gonna be like, what the fuck, bro?
Well, no,
This
that's
is not
that's
a
just,
new car.
That's why
I
you
need the
don't
car
market
facts.
it as a new car. It's a new to you car. It's not brand
Oh, so
new.
you just have a recycle.
Yes.
I don't think so, because the number of people who would buy it would be so low that you would waste so much money recycling cars that you could have just sold as used.
Okay.
Like it costs money to take an old car and turn it into a new car. It costs zero money to you to just sell it as used, because people will buy that anyways.
All right, fine. We'll agree
Like
to disagree.
why would Apple do it? Okay, why would Apple do it then? Okay, I can see why the customer does it. Why does
actually,
Apple?
no, that's what they do with the old iPhones, though.
That's
But
what I'm saying.
I think it's cost effective enough for them to do it. I think it costs too much money to take an old car and make it new. Like what?
Okay, one thing is you can plug a phone into a thing and then wipe it, and then you can also put a ton of them into like a decontamination chamber or whatever, and like clean it and then resell it. Like pretty easy. But a car, and also every car is like kind of different. Every generation or iteration is like physically different too. So that's just a whole lot more work and verification.
And like for phones, they're like, honestly, they're mostly just like melting it down and just reusing like the metal. So like it's not like they're taking like, oh, the camera. like that. Like I feel like that's how you'd have to do it for a car. Otherwise, like salvaging the car and then using the scrap metal in future production, I guess that saves you some costs on raw materials, but you could have sold that car for like X thousand. Good self-driving car is gonna be expensive. Like, right? Like especially an Apple one, it's always gonna be expensive.
What about lemon laws too? Like in Washington, like if they spent all this money and recycle all the cars, and then like half of the cars that they sold in Washington were like lemon law cars, so it's like, well, shit, right?
That's
then
a good
you gotta
point
give
too.
them a new car.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Like, okay, I can see kind of from your perspective why the customer would say, like, yeah, like I would buy a recycled car. And okay, I admit some people out there do it, but like, okay, I think it's expensive for Apple to pull off too. Like,
yeah, honestly, I think it is possible with not even like electronic car or like hybrid cars or whatever. Like Subaru has had the same. Like I could bolt in basically any Subaru engine from.
I was
like
gonna say, I feel like the Boxer engine has been largely unchanged for like at least a decade.
It's been like 30 years since like the late 80s till like even the 20. Like I think, like I'm pretty sure even the BRZs, which have a totally different engine now, and the Imprezas, like you could just take those engines, and I'm not saying like mechanically it'll fit, like electronically it's totally different, but yeah, like I could go take an engine out of like my mom's Forester and throw it in my 99 Outback, and it would mechanically work or mechanically go together. So like, I mean, yeah, manufacturing is all like parts bin stuff. So yes, technically you could just take this part from this car that's like maybe 5 years newer and swap it in. It'd probably fit just fine. And usually it does. But I mean, I guess in terms of knowing that it's going to work, or like, do we have to set up all the whole process to test this part now too? And then I feel like it's maybe not worth the investment.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess.
So neither of you are on board with my Apple Car Forever plan.
Well, it's like there's a point of a car where people agree that it's totaled in an accident, where it costs too much to fix.
Yep.
That you should just buy a new one. It's like in my mind, this problem, like your idea, has the opposite problem, where like Apple's like, okay, like I get some customers who want to buy recycled cars. I save on some costs of materials and parts.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I could have just sold this for a certain value, and I have to pay
Slightly
people
higher. Yeah.
to take it apart.
Yeah.
So like, am I really making more money than what I lost and just selling? Like, I paid
Right.
someone to take it apart and see what I can keep. I paid someone to take the reused parts and put them in the new car, and then and then the car is probably cheaper than, like, like if people are doing the recycle problem, they're getting it for cheaper, right? So my profit margin was already cut there. So like, I know like the used car is not going to be as valuable as the new car, so like the price will still be higher technically selling them the recycled car than having sold them a used car. But like, if the difference is not enough to make up the work you have to do that, I feel like you're just going to be like, well, it's just a loss. Like, I don't care.
Alrighty then.
Unless maybe if you could convince them to like, like I mean, like, it'd have to be like trade in too, like kind of like you have to bring the same car back in, I guess. I don't know. Maybe they start eating the loss just to keep people from buying other cars. Like, you could argue, maybe argue that's the strategy.
They're playing the
recycling
infinite
program.
game, yeah.
Yeah, so you bring in your
This
car.
will be the last car you ever buy.
Yeah, it's like 5-year cycles or something. I don't know. For you would hard stretch sell me a 2-year cycle on a car.
Oh, hell no.
New car every 2 years. That's kind of.
It would have to be like 5 to 10, I feel like, for most people.
Like, I would say 5 years would probably be like the quickest cycle. I would be like, okay, I get a chance to like drive the car for a while, get used to it, and get tired of it, and feel like I want new features. Like,
Yeah.
Every 2 years would be a lot. It'd be like, I got to learn how to drive a new car. I got to get used to it.
Yeah.
Got to move all my
Like, I
stuff.
just got
from one to the
comfortable
other.
in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you did that, you just ate a loss, and everyone just kept buying your car, and Tesla stopped existing, then you win. So like, if that's the play, okay, then I see why Apple would do it.
Maybe it is. All right. I want to get to one more thing before we wrap it up, because it obviously is the week of Thanksgiving. I am a very devout Christmas after Thanksgiving type of person. So, I see this headline and it makes me happy. Target plans to keep stores closed on Thanksgiving for good.
Ooh, nice.
So, I feel like when we were kids, it was very uncommon for things to be open at all on Thanksgiving. And then we hit this like weird phase where everything was open literally all the damn time.
Yeah, even like restaurants were closed on Thanksgiving. Like, it used to be like, I have to go eat, like, if I want to eat out on Thanksgiving, I have to get like Chinese food specific.
Yep.
Or something.
Yep.
like
It's got to be like a small mom and pop shop.
Yeah.
Like, I'll take the L on the holiday, but I want those people.
But now you're like, yeah, you're right. Restaurants are open. Some people just work on Thanksgiving. And we had that period where like it was super important for every store to be open earlier and earlier on Black Friday, and then it was just like, no, we'll just go into fucking Thanksgiving.
Opens at 3 p.m. on Thanksgiving.
Like,
dude.
Like, that was
Sears.
That was a weird time. But
we're moving beyond it though. And I think that
the
I think the answer was obvious. I think people have just finally figured it out because of the Rona. The answer, obviously, is to extend your Black Friday sale and turn it into like a week, and then it doesn't matter what day it is, and it doesn't matter what time, because you can buy the damn thing online, and if you really have to go into the store, instead of me forcing you into the store on one day a week where you might get trampled by thousands of other people like a herd of buffalo, you could go in one of 6 days in the week and reduce the risk of you getting trampled by infinity%. Like,
I mean,
it seems so obvious, and yet it took a global pandemic for brands to realize if we stretch this out and give people more convenience when they spend their money, we actually make more money.
I mean, I think before the pandemic, people were shopping less on Black Friday. I think we had been past the peak already at that point. I think it's more just online shopping in general.
So you're not buying that this is... You just think it's online shopping.
Well, no, I think brands have also extended their deals longer because they have done the math and realized we make more sales at less money, but it makes up for having less sales at, if you have a deal every day, enough people come in where it offsets the fact that, okay, we sold things for less on days that we wouldn't have before.
Yeah.
Yep.
but we had more people come. Like they've done the calculus and figured that out. I agree. They have finally figured that out. I just don't think that the pandemic necessarily is what spurred that. I feel like they were kind of already leaning that way, and then I feel like everyone now realizes I can buy stuff online. So like I think that's why Target is comfortable with saying we're not going to have employees come to the store anymore. It makes them look super altruistic, but to be honest, like okay, like like we're gonna buy stuff online from you anyways. Like you know, like all of that is still gonna happen. This is
You're gonna ruin my only warm and fuzzy news story of the week. How
are the
dare
warehouse
you?
employees? Does Target warehouse employees get the day off too? Like, or are they shipping stuff on things?
I don't know. That's a very very legitimate question.
Like so, like you know,
Yeah.
I agree. There was a peak craze. I am glad that we're moving past it.
I'm glad.
I agree that companies were dumb for not realizing that sooner. I mean, I guess just you know, like it was, you know, people just get more experience and you get bigger and bigger and hire more people who look at things in different ways, statsy ways, philosophical ways, I guess.
I have an answer to your question. Distribution and call centers will have limited staff on Thanksgiving, but they will collect holiday pay.
Okay.
Okay.
So, I mean, yeah, it's better.
Not perfect, but better.
Not perfect, better. The cynical side of me says they realized we're going to make a bunch of money on, as you said, the next 7 days anyways, and online stores open, so it's not like we're making no money.
Uh-huh. I will never forget the only Black Friday I ever worked in retail.
Oh, dude.
I'm trying to remember if the store was actually open on Thanksgiving or not. I was in college, and that was so long ago now that I don't remember.
I think it probably was. I feel like that was just... I feel like
I worked at the Family Christian Bookstore, though. Like, you cannot tell me that there is retail demand for any of that shit on a normal day.
It's that.
Yeah,
I feel like sometime in high school was when it was... Like there was like that South Park episode about Black Friday.
Oh yes, with it was Bill Gates versus the guy at Sony because it was Xbox versus PlayStation.
Yes, Sony for PlayStation, and it was like Game of Thrones themed too. It was like really big.
It was a huge thing. That one was really funny. I love that one.
Like, I feel like there was a peak and we were moving off it, but I'll agree with you and say that COVID killed it because of the amount of online shopping that I think happened.
Well, yeah, if you don't have to pack thousands of people into your store with a potentially deadly virus, you're not going to.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you ever wanted to survive Black Friday, do it at the Family Christian Bookstore.
Oh, dude.
Obviously, they're now bankrupt. They don't even exist anymore. But
so
we opened at like 4 a.m. For why? I don't know. Don't ask me. I am not sure.
Wow.
Like it was a busy day by Family Christian Bookstore standards.
Oh, so you did have customers? Okay.
That is crazy.
I don't want you to think that there was any illusion that this was like Black Friday at any other store, though, because it sure as hell was not.
Okay.
No way. And then for some reason they sent a district manager to like hover over our shoulder and make sure that we were asking all the upsell questions at the register. I was like, dude, what are you doing here? Like, go away.
Can I upsell you on this bookmarker?
Oh, they were trying to sell their version of like a mobile app with like podcasty shit in it. I was like,
nice.
You don't upsell a mobile app podcasty thing when your average customer is like a 68-year-old white woman. Okay, like this was like 8 years ago, almost. No, shit, it was almost 8 years ago. It was like 6 years ago. Like they were way too early on all of that stuff. The 68-year-old white women I was selling stuff to had zero interest in any of that. Yeah. They didn't even know what a podcast was.
Yeah, they probably listen to one now, though.
Now they probably do.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sure you all have retail horror stories far worse than mine.
I want that Sears.
Just Sears, yeah. Dude, that was...
I feel like that on Black Friday had to be busy because everybody was after like crafts and shit.
That was one of the worst years I've ever had.
Yeah,
I had to miss Thanksgiving dinner because I had to go into work at 7 p.m.
Oh, no.
On Thanksgiving. And I was like, bro, are you kidding me? I'm going to eat top ramen for Thanksgiving? So I did that, and then I didn't get off work until like 2 a.m. And then I had to come back at like 7 a.m. And oh my god, like that if you guys remember that Sears, it was like a ring. Like the line went around the store on the inside and met back up to like
for what?
I have no idea. Literally, no one bought anything. Like I was the guy who was cleaning up the floor.
Oh no.
And so hella people would come up to the front, and like I spent like hours putting new like price tags on everything, like a few days leading for, and then some people would always be like, I don't know the price, so they bring it up to the front,
So they forget
and
how
it'd be
to-
like it's too expensive and dump it there. And so I had literally like a whole mountain to clean and put back. And then, like, I swear to God, no one bought anything. No one bought a single thing. And I was like, dude, I have to put this back by myself. And then also, my coworkers, like, it was so bad. They all decided to say, I'm going to call out the second shift on Black Friday,
Oh
actually.
no.
So I was literally the only guy on the floor. Dude, I had like 30 or 40,000 steps that day. I died. That was the worst. Yeah, I don't know.
Rookie mistake, dude. They were like,
Yeah.
"Hey, he's got it."
It was stupid. It was really stupid. All those people got fired too.
I bet they did.
Yeah.
Today you don't get to call out.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, I guess I bring that up to say that in a contest that's centered on investing in companies for how they treat their people and the things that they do outside of just making money, like that's a reason why I feel good about shopping at Target, because they do stuff like that. Obviously, it's not perfect. Obviously,
It is a step in the
there's a
right
lot of
direction.
reasons to be skeptical about a lot of things, but it's a step in the right direction where others may not be making one. So,
Yeah.
Definitely an interesting trend to keep an eye on, though. I think, as annoying as it is, I still would prefer that stores stay closed on Thanksgiving and then just deal with the really annoying early Black Friday doorbuster TV commercials where Black Friday is now like a week and a half long. Like, you've completely obliterated the sense of urgency to buy anything.
Yeah.
But I would still prefer that. So, I guess it's a little bit of give and take, but here we are. Well, that was a long one. Lots of interesting things obviously going on right now. Lots to follow up with next week when we come back. But good luck. Short market week this week. Remember that the market is closed for the holiday. But good luck, guys, and we'll see if we move more than 1% or 0.5% when we come back next time.
Yeah, definitely.
Later.